Marcus barely had time to lift his hand before the sound of the slap echoed across the diner. The entire room froze. Coffee cups stopped halfway to lips. Forks hovered above plates. The quiet dinner chatter died instantly as every eye turned toward the booth near the window. Officer Karen Holt stood over him, her hand still raised, chest rising with anger. Marcus Bennett sat very still, one hand on the table, the other slowly touching the side of his face where the blow had landed. Across from him, the little girl gasped, "Hey, don't hit my dad." Her voice cracked with panic as she jumped out of the booth. Karen's eyes snapped toward the girl. "Stay back," she ordered sharply. The girl's small hands trembled as she grabbed Marcus's arm. "You said you wouldn't let them take you," she whispered. Marcus looked down at her, his expression calm despite the tension in the room. "It's okay," he said quietly. But the tension in the diner told a very different story. Because 10 minutes earlier, none of this had been happening. 10 minutes earlier, they had just been eating burgers and laughing. And in less than an hour, that same officer who had slapped him would realize she had just attacked the most powerful man in the department. But right now, nobody in the diner knew that. Not yet. And before this night was over, the entire country would know exactly what happened inside that small roadside diner. But before we continue, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy powerful stories like this. And comment below where you're watching from. Stories like this deserve to be heard. Now let's go back to the moment everything started going wrong. Marcus Bennett sat across from 8-year-old Lily with a milkshake in front of him, and fries scattered across the table. Lily had ketchup on the corner of her mouth, and a grin so wide it looked like she had just won the lottery. "Dad, you promised I could get pie if I finished my burger." Marcus leaned back in the booth. "You said that before you saw how big the burger was." "I still finished it," she said proudly. He studied the empty plate. "You ate the pickles too." She hesitated. "Okay, I moved those to your plate." Marcus laughed. "That doesn't count as eating them." Lily crossed her arms dramatically. "You said finish the burger." "Technically," Marcus said. "Then technically I deserve pie." Marcus shook his head with a smile. "You're going to be a lawyer one day." She leaned forward. "Nope." "What then?" "A detective." Marcus chuckled. "That sounds dangerous." "Only for bad guys," she said confidently. At the counter, a woman had been watching them. At first she smiled at the playful conversation. But the longer she looked, the more confused she became. A black man in his 40s. A white girl calling him dad. Something about it didn't make sense to her. She whispered to the man sitting beside her. Within minutes, 2 more customers were starring. Lily didn't notice. Marcus didn't either. "Okay," Marcus said finally. "You win." "Yes," Lily pumped her fist. "But only one slice," he added. She slid back into the booth happily. "Chocolate pie." "Of course it's chocolate pie." As the waitress walked over to take the order, the diner door suddenly opened. A uniformed officer stepped inside. Officer Karen Holt scanned the room automatically, the way officers often do. Then her gaze landed on the booth. Her eyes narrowed. A black man. A white child. The girl looked nervous. Karen started walking toward them. At first Marcus assumed she was just passing through. Then she stopped directly beside their table. "Sir," she said coldly. Marcus looked up. "Yes." Karen nodded toward Lily. "Is this your child?" Lily answered immediately. "Yeah, he's my dad." Karen didn't even glance at her. She kept staring at Marcus. "I asked him." Marcus blinked slowly. Yes, he said calmly. She's my daughter. Karen folded her arms. Can I see some identification? Lily looked confused. Why? Karen ignored her again. Marcus slowly reached into his wallet. Officer, is there a problem? Karen's tone hardened. That depends on what you're doing with this little girl. A few customers turned in their seats to watch. Marcus placed his ID on the table. Karen barely glanced at it. You mind explaining something to me? She said. Marcus stayed calm. What exactly? Karen leaned closer. She doesn't look like you. The words hung in the air. Lily looked between them. What does that mean? Marcus's jaw tightened slightly. It means, Karen continued, I need to verify that this child belongs with you. She belongs with me, Marcus replied quietly. Karen scoffed. We'll see about that. Lily grabbed Marcus's arm. Dad, what's happening? It's okay, he said softly. But Karen suddenly grabbed Lily's wrist. The girl yelped. Hey, Marcus stood instantly. Karen shoved him back into the booth. Sit down. Gasps rippled through the diner. Do not touch my daughter, Marcus said firmly. Karen reached for her radio. I've got a possible child abduction at Miller's Diner. Sending location now. Lily's eyes widened with fear. What? No. Marcus exhaled slowly. You're making a mistake. Karen glared. Kidnappers always say that. One man near the counter quietly pulled out his phone. The camera started recording. Marcus leaned forward. Officer, listen carefully. Karen's expression hardened. You should listen. She pointed at Lily. What's your real name? Lily Bennett, the girl said. Karen laughed mockingly. That's convenient. Tears started forming in Lily's eyes. That is my name. Marcus placed a calming hand on her shoulder. It's okay. Karen suddenly grabbed Marcus's arm. Stand up. He didn't move. Officer, he said calmly. You're escalating a situation you don't understand. Karen's patience snapped. Her hand swung again. The slap echoed louder than the first. Lily screamed. The phone recording everything zoomed in. Karen pointed toward the door. You're coming with me. Marcus slowly stood. He leaned closer to her. You really shouldn't have done that. Karen laughed. Oh yeah. Marcus looked straight into her eyes. Yes. Why? Because you're going to regret it. Karen smirked. I doubt that. Outside, 2 patrol cars screeched into the parking lot. Backup had arrived. And what happened next would soon spread across the entire internet. But before we continue, if you're still watching, comment the word justice below. I want to see who's really paying attention to this story. Because the moment that changed everything was about to happen. The diner door burst open. 2 officers rushed inside. What's the situation? One asked. Karen pointed at Marcus. Possible child abduction. Lily screamed again. No, he's not. The officer hesitated. Kid, step aside. Marcus held out his wrists calmly. You're going to find this very embarrassing later. Karen rolled her eyes. Cuff him. Metal clamped around Marcus's wrists. Lily started crying uncontrollably. You're hurting him. The officer looked uncomfortable. Karen ignored it. Search him. As the officer reached for Marcus's pocket, the waitress finally stepped forward. Officer, he comes here all the time with her. Karen snapped. Stay out of police business. Meanwhile, the phone recording everything captured every word. And somewhere online, the video was about to explode. But what none of them knew was that someone very important was already on his way to that diner. Someone who knew Marcus Bennett very well. And in the next part of this story, the officer who slapped him would finally learn exactly who she had just put in handcuffs. And when that moment happens, everything changes. Lily's crying filled the diner as the metal cuffs tightened around Marcus's wrists. "Stop it," she shouted, trying to push past one of the officers. "You're hurting him." The younger officer looked uncomfortable. "Kid, step back." "That's my dad," Lily screamed. Karen folded her arms with cold confidence. "Kidnappers teach kids to say that." Marcus looked down at Lily, his voice steady even with his hands restrained. "Hey, look at me." Her small face was streaked with tears. "It's okay," he said gently. "You remember what we talked about when things get confusing." She sniffed. "Stay calm." "That's right," Marcus said softly. "Stay calm." But calm was the last thing the diner felt right now. Several customers had stood up. One man whispered to another, "This doesn't look right." Near the counter, the phone that had been recording from the beginning was now pointed directly at Karen. The person filming zoomed in as she tightened Marcus's cuffs again. "You think this is funny," Karen said sharply. Marcus looked at her. "I think you're about to learn something important tonight." Karen scoffed. "Oh, really?" "Yes." "And what's that?" Marcus held her gaze. "That assumptions can cost people their careers." Karen laughed loudly enough for everyone in the diner to hear. "You think you're important or something?" Marcus didn't answer. Karen turned to the officers. "Search him." The younger officer hesitated. "Ma'am, maybe we should verify the situation first." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Did I ask for your opinion?" "No, ma'am." "Then do it." The officer reluctantly began checking Marcus's pockets. Lily grabbed Marcus's arm again. "You said we were just getting dinner," she whispered. "We are," Marcus said calmly. "But they're taking you away." Marcus looked down at her. "No one's taking me anywhere." Karen rolled her eyes. "You're already in cuffs." Marcus didn't react. Across the diner, the waitress stepped forward again. "Officer, I told you, they come here almost every week." Karen snapped her head toward her. "Unless you're his lawyer, sit down." The waitress backed away slowly. But the man filming whispered under his breath, "This is insane." He quickly typed something on his phone while still recording. Uploading video. The first clip was already going online. Karen pointed toward the door. "Let's move." Marcus didn't resist. But before the officers could take him a step, Lily ran in front of them. "No." "Move, kid," Karen said. "He adopted me," Lily shouted through tears. The words echoed across the diner. A few customers gasped. Karen froze for a second. Then she laughed again. "Nice story." "It's not a story," Lily yelled. Marcus spoke calmly. "Officer Holt." Karen blinked. "You know my name." Marcus tilted his head slightly. "You're wearing a badge." Karen smirked. "Well, then you should know resisting an officer isn't smart." Marcus shook his head slowly. "I'm not resisting." "Good. I'm warning you." Karen leaned closer. "You've done enough talking tonight." She turned to the other officers. "Take him to the car." The officers gently guided Marcus toward the door. Lily ran after them, grabbing his arm again. "You can't take him." The younger officer whispered quietly to Marcus. "Sir, if you have paperwork proving adoption, we can sort this out at the station." Marcus gave a faint smile. "Oh, we're definitely going to sort it out." Karen shoved the door open. "Let's go." Outside, flashing lights painted the diner walls red and blue. 2 patrol cars sat in the parking lot. Several customers followed to the windows. Inside, the man filming whispered excitedly, "People are already commenting." His friend leaned closer. "What?" "The video's going crazy." He turned the screen slightly. Thousands of views, climbing rapidly. Comments flooded in. "Why is that cop hitting him?" "The kid is crying." "Someone report this." The man filming whispered again, "Keep recording." Outside, Marcus was guided toward the patrol car. Karen opened the back door. "You can explain everything downtown." Marcus stopped just before entering. He looked at her calmly. "You really should think about what you're doing." Karen folded her arms. "I am." "You're making a mistake." Karen leaned closer. "You're the one who made the mistake." Marcus smiled faintly. "No." Karen raised an eyebrow. "You did." Lily suddenly ran out of the diner. "Stop." She grabbed Marcus's arm again. "You said we were getting pie." Marcus chuckled softly despite everything. "We still might." Karen groaned. "Oh, for God's sake." Lily wiped her tears angrily. "You're mean." Karen's face hardened. "Kid, move." "She's scared," Marcus said quietly. Karen pointed toward the car. "So should you be." At that exact moment, another vehicle turned into the parking lot. Not a patrol car. A black SUV. Then another one. And another. Karen frowned. "What the hell?" The younger officer squinted toward the vehicles. "Those look like department units." The SUVs stopped near the entrance of the diner. Doors opened. Several sharply dressed officials stepped out. One of them was the city police commander. Karen straightened slightly. "What's he doing here?" Marcus glanced toward the vehicles. Then back at Karen. "I believe that would be my ride." Karen laughed again. "You really love telling jokes." Marcus didn't respond. The commander entered the diner first. He looked around the room quickly. "Where is he?" The waitress pointed toward the door. "They took him outside." The commander's expression changed instantly. "What?" He rushed outside. Karen was still standing beside the patrol car when she heard a voice behind her. "What exactly is going on here?" Karen turned. "Sir." The commander looked past her. Then his eyes landed on Marcus in handcuffs. His face went pale. "Who put those on him?" Karen answered confidently. "I did, sir. Possible kidnapping." The commander looked like someone had just knocked the air out of him. "Kidnapping?" He stepped closer. "Officer Holt, do you have any idea who this man is?" Karen shrugged. "Not yet." The commander's voice dropped. "You're about to." Marcus slowly turned toward him. "Evening, Commissioner." The officers around them froze. Karen blinked. "What?" The commander took a breath. Then he said the words that would change everything. "Officer Holt, this is Deputy Commissioner Marcus Bennett." Silence crashed over the parking lot. Karen's mouth slowly opened. "That's not funny." The commander's voice hardened. "I'm not joking." Karen looked back at Marcus. Then at the cuffs on his wrists. Then back at the commander. "You're serious?" Marcus held her gaze calmly. "Very." Karen's face drained of color. The younger officer immediately stepped forward. "Oh my God." He quickly unlocked the cuffs. The metal dropped away from Marcus's wrists. Karen took a step backward. No, that can't be right. The commander glared at her. He was appointed this morning. Marcus rubbed his wrists calmly. Corinne's voice trembled slightly. But the kid... My daughter, Marcus said quietly. Corinne looked like the ground had disappeared beneath her. The commander looked furious. Explain yourself. Corinne tried to speak. She didn't look. Marcus raised a hand slightly. You don't need to finish that sentence. The parking lot was completely silent. Inside the diner, dozens of phones were still recording. And online, the video had just crossed 100,000 views. But the real consequences of what happened tonight were only just beginning. And in the next part of this story, the viral video will explode across the entire country, and Officer Holt will realize her biggest mistake wasn't the slap. It was who she chose to slap. Corinne Holt stared at Marcus Bennett as if the world had suddenly tilted under her feet. For a few seconds, she didn't say anything. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed again. That's not possible, she finally muttered. Marcus looked at her calmly, rubbing the faint red mark on his wrist where the cuffs had been. You seem to say that a lot tonight. The police commander turned sharply toward her. Officer Holt, explain exactly what happened. Corinne straightened instinctively. Sir, I received a report from a concerned citizen inside the diner. Marcus raised an eyebrow slightly. Corinne continued, trying to regain control of her voice. The report suggested a possible child abduction. The commander looked toward Lily, who was now standing close to Marcus, clutching his arm. That child? Yes, sir. Marcus gently placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. She's fine, he said quietly. The commander turned back to Corinne. And you responded by slapping him. Corinne hesitated. He resisted questioning. Marcus chuckled softly. That's a creative version of events. Corinne's face tightened. You stood up aggressively. I stood up when you grabbed my daughter, Marcus replied calmly. Lily looked up at him. You said you weren't mad. I'm not, Marcus said softly. But the commander's voice suddenly thundered across the parking lot. You put handcuffs on the deputy commissioner of this department. Corinne's confidence finally cracked. I didn't know who he was. Marcus nodded slowly. That's kind of the point. Corinne swallowed. I was doing my job. Marcus tilted his head. Were you? Inside the diner, phones were still pointed toward the windows. The man who had started recording whispered to his friend. Look at this. His screen was flooding with notifications. 200,000 views already. Seriously. And climbing. Comments were flying past faster than they could read them. Did that cop just slap him? That poor kid is crying. Someone needs to fire that officer. Back outside, the commander ran a hand over his forehead. Marcus, are you all right? Marcus nodded. I've had worse nights. Corinne tried again to recover. Sir, I had reasonable suspicion. Marcus looked directly at her. Did you? Corinne met his eyes. A white child claiming a black man is her father raises questions. The moment the words left her mouth, several officers shifted uncomfortably. Marcus didn't raise his voice, but his tone dropped low and steady. Yes, he said. It does raise questions. Corinne looked relieved for half a second. Then Marcus finished the sentence. The question is why you assumed something was wrong. Corinne froze again. The commander's expression hardened. Officer Holt. Corinne tried to correct herself. I meant it was unusual. Marcus nodded. Families come in many forms. Lily squeezed his hand. Dad adopted me, she said proudly. Karen avoided looking at her. The younger officer cleared his throat. "Sir, I think there's something else you should see." He held up his phone. The screen showed the video clip. Karen slapping Marcus. Lily screaming. The cuffs going on. The commander took the phone slowly. "How long has this been online?" The officer scrolled. "About 20 minutes. The commander's eyes widened. 500,000 views. Karen turned pale. "What?" The officer kept scrolling. "News accounts are already sharing it." Marcus exhaled slowly. Well, that escalated quickly. Karen grabbed the phone. "This can't be happening." But it was. The comments were brutal. "Racist cop caught on camera. Look at that poor girl crying. Fire her immediately." Karen's hands trembled. "This is out of context." Marcus looked at her. What context would make this look better? Karen had no answer. Lily looked up at Marcus. "Dad." "Yes." "Are we still getting pie?" For the first time since the confrontation started, Marcus smiled. "We'll see." The commander stepped closer to Karen. "Give me your badge." Karen's head snapped up. "Sir." "Your badge." Karen's voice cracked. "You're suspending me." The commander's expression was stone cold. "I'm removing you from duty pending investigation." Karen looked around desperately. "But sir, you assaulted a civilian." Marcus raised an eyebrow slightly. "Technically, you're superior." The commander nodded grimly. "Yes." Karen's hand slowly moved to her chest. Her fingers touched the badge clipped to her uniform. For years, that badge had meant authority, power, control. Now it felt like a weight dragging her down. She unclipped it slowly. The metal gleamed under the parking lot lights. The commander took it without another word. Karen whispered, "This is because of that video." Marcus shook his head. "No." Karen looked at him. "This is because of your choices." Inside the diner, the waitress stepped outside cautiously. "Mr. Bennett." Marcus turned. "Yes." She looked nervous. "I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry about what happened." Marcus nodded kindly. "You didn't do anything wrong." She looked at Lily. "You two still want that pie?" Lily's face brightened slightly. "Yes." Marcus chuckled. "Well, I did promise." The commander exhaled heavily. "Marcus, maybe we should get you home." Marcus looked at Lily. "What do you think?" She thought for a second. "Pie first." Marcus smiled. "You heard the boss." They started walking back toward the diner entrance. Karen stood frozen beside the patrol car, watching them. Her career felt like it was collapsing in slow motion. Marcus paused at the door and looked back at her. "Officer Holt." She looked up slowly. "Yes." Marcus spoke calmly. "Respect shouldn't depend on who someone turns out to be." Karen didn't respond. Marcus opened the door and walked inside with Lily. The phones inside the diner immediately turned toward him. The man filming whispered, "That's him." Marcus noticed the cameras. He didn't seem angry. He simply said quietly, "Please remember there's a child here." Several people lowered their phones. Lily climbed back into the booth. The waitress brought out a slice of chocolate pie. "On the house." Lily smiled. "Thank you." Marcus sat across from her. For a moment, everything felt almost normal again. Outside, though, Karen Holt was still standing alone in the flashing lights. And the internet was just getting started. Because in the final part of this story, The viral video will explode across the entire country, and the consequences will reach far beyond that diner parking lot. And the most powerful moment of the night hasn't even happened yet. Karen Holt stood beside the patrol car long after Marcus and Lily went back inside the diner. The flashing red and blue lights reflected across the windows. Inside, people were still watching. Some were whispering. Some were still recording. Karen could feel every pair of eyes on her, even from across the parking lot. The commander walked toward the other officers. "Clear the scene," he said quietly. One officer nodded. "Yes, sir." Another patrol car slowly pulled away. Then another. But Karen didn't move. Her mind kept replaying the same moment over and over. The slap. The sound it made. The way the entire diner had gone silent. Then the words that followed. Deputy Commissioner Marcus Bennett. Her boss. Her direct superior. And now half the internet had seen it. The younger officer approached her carefully. "Karen." She didn't respond. He lowered his voice. "You should probably head home." Karen laughed weakly. "Home?" He hesitated. "Internal Affairs will call." Karen rubbed her forehead. "This isn't fair." The officer sighed. "You put cuffs on the deputy commissioner." "I didn't know who he was." He nodded slowly. "I know." Karen looked back toward the diner window. She could see Marcus sitting across from the girl again. The waitress had brought a slice of pie. Lily was smiling now. Karen whispered under her breath. "I was doing my job." But even as she said it, the words felt hollow. Inside the diner, Marcus took a slow bite of pie. Lily was already halfway through hers. "This is the best pie ever," she said. Marcus smiled. "That's what you say every time." "Because it's always true." Lily paused for a second. Then she looked at him carefully. "Dad." "Yes." "Are you really their boss?" Marcus nodded slightly. "Sort of." Her eyes widened. "Like all the police?" "Not all," Marcus said. "But a lot of them." Lily leaned back in the booth. "Whoa." Marcus chuckled. "You sound impressed." "I am." She tilted her head. "Why didn't you tell them?" Marcus shrugged slightly. "They didn't ask." Lily thought about that. "But they would have stopped." Marcus wiped his hands with a napkin. "That's exactly the problem." Lily frowned. "I don't get it." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "If someone only treats you with respect because of your job, then it's not real respect." Lily nodded slowly. "I think I understand." Marcus smiled. "Good." Across the diner, the man who had been filming looked down at his phone again. His eyes widened. "Oh wow." His friend leaned closer. "What now?" 3 million views. "What?" In less than an hour. The comments were exploding. News outlets were already reposting the video. Headlines were appearing everywhere. Police officer slaps man in front of child. Officer assaults deputy commissioner in viral video. Child begs police to stop arresting her father. Back outside, the commander was still speaking with the officers. His phone buzzed repeatedly. He glanced at the screen. 3 missed calls. 2 from the mayor's office. 1 from the chief. He sighed. That didn't take long. Karen was still standing near the patrol car when the commander walked back toward her. "You should leave," he said quietly. Karen looked up. "Sir, please." The commander waited. "I've served this department for 12 years, she said. "I know. I've never had a complaint." The commander nodded slowly. I know that too. Karen swallowed. So this one mistake. Karen, he interrupted gently. This isn't just a mistake. She looked down. It's the video, isn't it? He shook his head. No. Karen looked up again. It's what the video shows. She didn't answer. Inside the diner, Lily finished the last bite of pie. Dad. Yes. Is that lady going to get in trouble? Marcus took a slow breath. I don't know yet. But she was really mean. Marcus nodded. Yes. Lily looked down at her empty plate. But you told me we shouldn't hate people. Marcus smiled softly. That's still true. Even her. Even her. Lily leaned forward. But she hurt you. Marcus shrugged. People make bad choices sometimes. Lily thought about that carefully. Then she said quietly, maybe she needs someone to teach her. Marcus smiled. That's exactly what I was hired to do. Lily grinned. Really? Really? At that moment, Marcus's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it. Dozens of notifications. News alerts. Messages from colleagues. The video was everywhere. Lily peeked over his shoulder. Is that us? Marcus chuckled softly. Yes. She watched the screen for a moment. That's when she slapped you. Marcus locked the phone again. Yep. Lily tilted her head. You didn't even hit her back. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That wouldn't solve anything. Why not? Marcus leaned forward slightly. Because real strength isn't about hitting back. Lily nodded thoughtfully. Outside the diner, Corinne finally turned toward her car. Her hands were still shaking slightly. She opened the door slowly. But before she got inside, the diner door opened again. Marcus stepped outside. Corinne froze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Corinne said quietly, Why didn't you tell me who you were? Marcus looked at her calmly. Would it have changed how you treated me? Corinne didn't answer. Marcus nodded slightly. That's what I thought. Corinne swallowed hard. I'm sorry. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he said quietly, I believe you are. Corinne looked surprised. But that doesn't undo what happened. She nodded slowly. I know. Marcus glanced toward the diner window where Lily was waving at him. I hope you learn from it. Corinne whispered. I will. Marcus opened the car door. Lily climbed into the passenger seat. Before getting in himself, Marcus looked back at Corinne one last time. Remember something. Corinne looked up. Marcus spoke calmly. The badge doesn't give you respect. Corinne listened carefully. Your actions do. Marcus got into the car. The engine started. The car slowly pulled out of the parking lot. Corinne watched the taillights disappear down the road. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark diner window. Inside the diner, people were still talking about what they had just witnessed. Across the country, millions of people were watching the video. And in the days that followed, the moment inside that small diner would spark conversations everywhere. About respect. About assumptions. About the way people treat each other when they think no one important is watching. But the truth Marcus Bennett understood that night was simple. Respect should never depend on someone's title. It should depend on their humanity. And sometimes, the most powerful lesson comes from the moment someone realizes exactly who they chose to disrespect. Before you go, if this story moved you, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the next powerful story. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in that diner that night? Because stories like this remind us of one thing. Character is revealed in moments when power meets assumption. And the choices we make in those moments can change everything.